And both myself and Paidi are now joined by Gary O'Neill, who was the Aontu candidate for the party here in Carlow, Kilkenny. Gary, it looks like you're going to be on about 3% according to the tallies. Now, you know, tallies, they have their own, they come with a slight little health warning, but 3%, if that comes to pass, you must be very happy with that.
Yeah, 3%. Yeah, first time running, Aontu's first time in the constituency as well, as you know, Paul.
Mm.
So yeah, 3%. I mean, yeah, it's good. It's all about the transfers now at this stage. But yeah, 3%. I'm happy with.
And how did you find the experience? You're a first-time candidate, and you were kind of in the race, kind of late in the day, but you had a lot of ground to cover in a short space of time.
A load of ground to cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of ground to cover, and I felt it was as an obligation to cover both counties. So I'm 50 minutes away from Carlow town, so there's 2 hours already driving. You're hitting around. Most people up in Carlow will only vote for people in Carlow. So, but it was my duty to go up and speak to people in Carlow, and but I'm wrecked. It's a lot of rural area as well, but it was a great experience.
And what were the big issues coming up on the doors when you were chatting to people?
I suppose the main one would have to be services for children with additional needs. It's an epidemic now, I believe, and the services need to be there, and those families need to be fought for to get the services into our community, so the children don't have to go as far away to get basic education. So that would be number one. It would be my priority as well. Services. It's all about services, Paul.
And did anything come up along the way that surprised you?
Did anything surprise me? That's a great question.
That surprised you.
Yeah, did it? Yeah, that question surprised me. Yeah.
That's what we try to do.
Yeah.
Well, occasionally.
Actually, Roisin's question on the Defence Forces
Yeah.
was a great question, and it really made me think about our security. So that question surprised me. It was a good question, and so yeah, I think the protecting our security and the way that can be kind of implemented. I suppose that was kind of one that took me off guard, as you've taken me off guard again with that question. My brain is running on empty at this stage, but yeah, that would be one that stands out.
Okay. And I'll hand you over to my colleague Paudi now.
Hey, Gary, it's like you said, it's a big constituency.
Yeah.
Had you a team out canvassing with you? Was it just yourself?
No, there was a team, but it's difficult as a first-time candidate who doesn't really come from a political family. We've always voted for people rather than parties, and so to get round up my troops, I suppose, and because there's there's a small base of people in Carlow and Kilkenny, to get the lads out that are working, they're plastering walls for 8 hours a day, and then they're coming out and helping me knocking on doors. So there was a few, but to get everyone, maybe have like three, four people a night, which was good. But then there was rotating people, so there was a team around 8 to 10. But some people were doing signs, some people were knocking on doors, some people weren't comfortable with knocking on doors because they were just, they're supporting me, but then they wouldn't have had the confidence to answer the questions that would have came up. So most people wanted to talk to me. Most people wanted to just kind of hear about the support from the people who are helping me. So there was a lot of ground to cover. The team was small, but it was a great experience, and it's good to talk to people. My voice is starting to go now a little bit as well, but hopefully the team or the Common will grow, and we'll really create a base here as well in Carlow and Kilkenny, and we can just go from strength to strength.
It's not often you have a candidate come in, particularly Carlow Kilkenny, a first-time candidate that can make a dent and take a seat in what would be traditionally a very strong Fianna Fáil area. You need to work away and slog and build a profile. Kathleen Function ran several times before she got to the Dáil. What's your plan going forward? Will you stick around for the locals in 5 years, which is a long time away, but the campaign starts now if it does?
Yeah, it is a long time away. It's in the back of my mind. It would be my intention, yeah. But we're just gonna, deal with today, deal with this weekend, and then, we'll kind of have a nice break at Christmas and then kind of go forward from there, But it's we're creating our base, and we're gonna move forward positively.
And then campaign. What was the highlight?
The highlight of the campaign, I loved getting out and talking to people. So my job traditionally was sitting at a desk investigating data and financial crime, And then I got into horticulture, which was also kind of an isolated job as well, like just dealing with veg. But I came from a background that was community-based, which is why I actually left the corporate world to go back into community-based. So I just really enjoyed engaging with people again. I'm a people person. It was difficult for me to take on, because I'm quite empathetic, to take on the grievance of people. But I love just getting out and speaking to people and talking to people, and just I think it's a gift I have that I'm able to talk to people the way I do. So I miss that, and so that would be the highlight, was just getting out and talking to people in the community.
Brilliant. And then maybe we'll focus a bit on your party. When did you join into, or when did you get involved with the party?
Joined into only in the last, like, from a membership perspective, I think it was just after the locals, I believe, and it was the referendum. Really, well, I've always kind of, Pader has always been a kind of someone that stood out to me. I wouldn't have, Pader's leadership is something that drew me to Aontu, and obviously the values and the principles. Obviously, why Pader left, but why Pader set up Aontu in the beginning. The values of Aontu and the referendum, of course. The referendum was really what made me go, okay, because I knew the implications of the referendum, and then I seen the way all the other political parties were trying to undermine the family and carers, and because Aontu stood out in voting no, that was a real draw to me for them. So the values and the backbone.
So in the space of maybe 4 or 5 months, you went from being a card carrying member to a candidate in a general election.
Yeah, it's mad when you put it that way, isn't it? Yeah, it's mad when you put it that way. Look, it's been a whirlwind. It's been an absolute, it's an honour and a privilege to be able to, stand in my local constituency, to stand where I grew up, and represent the people that I grew up with or went to school with, the people around me, people that I haven't even met before that live in my hometown. To represent those has been an honour, and to stand with Aontu has been, so it's one of the greatest honours of my life.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on your run, and I'm going to pass you back to Paul.
Yeah, and I suppose one last question. I suppose you got 3% here. Looks like here in Carlow, Kilkenny. It's looking like nationally, Aontu could break that number of 2.5%, and if they break that number, they'll be entitled to state funding. So how important is that for the party like Aontu going forward?
It's incredibly important. It's incredibly important because it's so difficult. Like we basically some volunteers that we have at the moment, and obviously we don't have the funding. So it's been very difficult for a small party like Aontu to make the dent we're after making. It's an incredible achievement, and the people in the background that are not getting the limelight, so to speak, that are dropping signs around the country, that are doing all the background work. This is a testament to them, and they deserve the state funding. Aontu deserve the state funding because they're a champion of the people that feel like they've been left behind, and I think it's definitely a positive direction for the country if we get the funding and we be able to represent more people in a more positive way.
Yeah, and you'd have a base there, and you'd be able to build going forward. So I suppose now is time thinking about the next general election, whenever that will be, and hopefully build on that 3% if that does come to pass. Well, Gary, like I said, thank you for taking the time to talk to us here on the Irish Political Roundup, and wish you every success for the rest of the count.
Thank you.